Hello, hello, hello. We are live. JLR investigates the Mamta Kafle Bhatt case. Let's talk. Hello, everyone, wherever you're at. Welcome aboard JLR investigates. We've been covering this case for a while, and I want to give you some updates on this case. We're talking about the missing mother, 28 years old, Manassas Park, Virginia. Husband's arrested. He's in jail. He's charged with concealing a body. Her body. She is presumed dead, though she has still not been found. And there's still people close to her that are planning to go search certain areas for Mamta. And we're talking about maybe near Walmarts where the husband, Naresh Bhatt, you see him there, 37 years old, where he went and bought some things on the 30th of July, 31st, 30th of July, he bought a bunch of knives. On the 31st of July, he bought cleaning supplies, Walmart. And we've been covering this case, so I wanted to kind of give you guys an update to let you guys know what's up. So there was a continuation. He went to court Friday. There was a continuation today. He was in court today. Good news, good news, good news, everyone. They said he's a flight risk, danger to the community, and the judge ordered him held without bond. So he's going to be sitting for a while. He's going to be sitting for a long, long time. Now, his lawyers making these arguments, and there's some legal basis of fact to their arguments, the lawyer, right? Basically saying, how are you going to be charged with concealing a body when there is no body? Guys, the authorities have not uncovered or found Mamta, unfortunately, at this time, though I think she'll be found over time. So they're arguing no body, no case, more or less, and stuff like that. So that will be interesting down the line if she still is not found. So I do think there's a sense of urgency to find her. Because if you do find her, he's cooked. He's cooked regardless, but I just think it's going to be more of an uphill battle. And in the legal wise, I think his lawyers will have some, leverage here in this particular case if they don't find her body. So there is a sense of urgency to still find her. She has not been found today. Though, we're going to bring public awareness. We're, absolutely, we're going to cover this case. Since we started out with this case from the beginning, we're going to follow it all the way through. So he was in court today. I gathered a few different sources, and I wanted to share, people's take on what happened in court with this guy, because I'm sure everyone wants to know what happened in the courtroom today. Prince William County, Virginia. It appears, folks, with the information that's being put out there, it appears months before this disappearance happened, he was making some Google searches. And that's what a lot of these criminals do after the fact or before the crime, or, they start going on Google. How to do this, how to do that, how to divorce, how to hide a body, how to commit a crime, how to hide funds, how do you collect money after someone dies. They make Google searches. And I think he slipped up and messed up big time. Matter of fact, there's some interesting things here. There's something that's not being reported about this case. Apparently, Secret Service cooperated with authorities in providing his Google searches at his work. Prior, Google searches that he made prior to when this crime happened. We said on JLR Investigates, it is believed that he worked or works at the White House, which isn't even getting media attention at all. Because no media outlet has been reporting where he currently works. I wonder why. As far as him, we watched the process. We watched them search the home. And the prosecutor laid out basically to the media. It's been discussed what they think transpired. They think that we're talking about a dead body, right? She's presumed dead. We're talking about numerous amount of blood in the bedroom, in the sink. Him selling the Tesla weeks after he reported her missing. Timeline didn't make sense. Inconsistent statements. Things he told the prosecutor about her she's just leaving. She's with family somewhere. It was all bogus. Matter of fact, he pulled a Chris Watts, like we said, and a Stefan Stearns, and lied straight to the American media. Just lied straight to the public on national media. Lied straight to the public. But we all saw through his BS. We knew it was fishy, inconsistent. He was acting funny. And lo and behold, that's the case here. Um, he lied about the timeline. He made these claims that things happened on the July 31st in reference to, oh, she was in the house, and then, I go to work next day, come home on the 1st, and she's not there, and then the welfare check comes, and then days later, he then reports his wife missing. You're talking about his wife, a mother of 1-year-old child, right? It seems like this crime, the actual murder, which is probably egregious to the core. It's probably bad as the worst of the worst. We're talking knives, knives that are not found at this time. But I think this crime occurred on the 30th. So he lied. He lied. She was last seen on the 27th, right? Possibly communicating with family members or her mom. Because they were saying that her mom is in Nepal, and she was, communicating with her mom regularly. I think the 28th was the last time, and then she just vanished. Ghost. Everything went quiet. Gone. We know he wasn't searching. The community had come out en masse. Now, this wasn't getting a lot of media attention at all at the beginning stages. Not many people were talking about this case. And then the media, as soon as I think once the, team, Mamta, and all the community support and activists, gathered in front of the Manassas Park Police Department about a week after she vanished, then I think that set the ball, and the media was really, really on this case, right? And now it's all over. It's getting a lot of media attention, which is great. But at the end of the day, folks, she has still not been found. She has still not been found. And it's a big deal. This case has a lot of dynamics. Apparently, this is an individual that there was clear warning signs. They're saying today that there was some domestic violence issues and police called to their house prior in the springtime. That's what they're saying now. So there's a pattern of abuse going on. She clearly was putting out in these, social media posts that she's trying to get away from her husband. This is after they moved to Manassas Park, August of last year. They bought a new house, had a new car, he got a new job. She works as an RN. She worked as an RN. But things started unraveling really quickly, it seems like, in the around the beginning of the year, right? But this has a whole bunch of domestic violence, dynamics to it. We got a woman that I feel like was trapped because she doesn't have any family, like immediate family in the area. And, she comes over from overseas. Now, his lawyer's trying to claim that he doesn't have any other passport. He only has a United States citizen passport, so he's not a flight risk. But there's, it just has, I just think there's a lot of things, my take on this is it was definitely premeditated, the way they're laying out details about this case as it goes on. It wasn't just one of these spare-in-the-moment things and they argued and he went and did it. I think he planned this. I think he had an understanding, probably trapped her, and scary. They have a 1-year-old child. Now the child is in the custody of the state. It is believed that her mom is on her way. Unclear if her mom actually came over and got over here on this soil yet. And, to see the child, to be with the child. But it's just, it's sad. It's very, very sad. Now, I want to share a couple things with you guys of what transpired today. It's important to get the facts, and it's important to get an understanding of what happened today. There was a hearing. I have a few clips here. One of a actual podcaster or an individual. The individual goes by a TikTok account. And I think this TikTok account is very, very good when it comes to covering true crime. It is called "And Then They Were Gone." And then they were gone. Now, the individual that runs this TikTok account was inside the courtroom today. And I played her before. I think she's pretty good. Describing what went on in the courtroom. So she was again in there today. She must be local. She must be from that area. And she describes what transpired today in this case inside this courtroom. I want to share that, and then we'll go to the next step here. So this is her. I don't know her name offhand, but she runs this channel.
This is the rundown video about what we learned in the bond hearing. I'm going to give you the most important information up front, and then I'll get into the details of everything, all of my notes after that. So obviously the most important thing that happened is that Naresh was not granted bond. He was in court because he has been charged with concealing a dead body in relation to the disappearance of his wife, Mamta Kafle. There are two things that the judge had to look at in terms of whether or not he was going to be granted bond. Number one is he a danger to society? Number two is he a flight risk?
Yep.
The judge said that yes, he is on both of those. Danger to society and a flight risk, no bond. He is now in jail awaiting his next hearing. In this bond hearing, the defense went first and went over why they believe that Naresh deserved bond. Basically, they said that the prosecution had provided 3 photos, and those 3 photos show a minuscule amount of blood that basically could have come from a nosebleed. That is not nearly enough to say that anybody died, much less that Naresh killed somebody or that he hit a body. And he said even if those tiny drops of blood are Mamta's blood, that's not enough for probable cause. My mic cut out. Basically, the defense said that the only reason that these charges were brought was because of the media frenzy and because the chief of police was under public pressure to do so. Got to the prosecution. She went over a lot of the same facts that she went over at the first hearing on Friday, but we have a couple new bombshell pieces of evidence. Okay, so this is the new stuff that we learned. And the first part of it has to do with Mamta's phone. Now, there was no activity on her phone from July 30th to August 2nd. And that is something that we already knew, right? But what we found out is that they looked at the historical data 4 days moving up to July 29th. In those 4 days, Naresh and Mamta's phones were in constant communication. So the reason why this is important is because it establishes a communication pattern between Mamta and Naresh. And their communication pattern is that they were in contact throughout the day, every day, and then that suddenly stopped July 30th. But another new thing that we learned is that even though there was nothing on her phone was switched off, or, the battery was dead from July 30th to August 2nd. On August 3rd, her phone called his phone.
Ooh.
Then nothing. Going into the blood evidence that was taken out of the home, that big search that we all saw in the news was conducted not by Manassas Park, was conducted by Prince William County. And one of the investigators who was there said that she's been on the job for 11 years, or since 2011, and has never seen that much blood. The blood she's referring to is the blood that was recovered by a Blue Star technology, not the tiny amounts of blood that were shown in the photos. So those photos that the defense was talking about, where he's like, that could be a nosebleed, those photos were only blood that was visible to the naked eye, which were very small amounts because, as the prosecution says, Naresh really tried to clean up the house. So this is just spots of blood that he happened to miss. The other big new piece of evidence that we got is that after they took out the carpet and they took blood samples from the home, they of course sent all that to the lab for DNA testing. The DNA testing takes time. It is not back yet. But they were able to do a presumptive test for blood. So Blue Star technology is better than luminol in terms of not reacting to, say, bleach the same way it reacts to blood, but you still, even if something lights up with Blue Star technology, that doesn't automatically mean that it's blood. You have to do additional testing. And on Friday in the hearing, the defense attorney was saying, we don't even know if it's blood. Well, guess what? Now we do. The presumptive tests that they did for blood all came back positive. So it was blood that they found using the Blue Star technology. What we don't know yet scientifically is whether or not it's Mamta's blood. We also learned that blood seeped through to the back side of the carpet. Remember, they removed a section of carpet. We saw them roll it up and put it in the van. There was blood on the back side of the carpet that was visible to the naked eye. The huge piece of evidence is from the Secret Service. Naresh was a government contractor. He had a security clearance. He had a government-issued laptop. This idiot used his government-issued laptop in April of 2024, many months ago, to do some Google searches. The Secret Service, because they have access, sent 2 of those Google searches, if not more, at least 2 that she talked about, to prosecution. Here's verbatim the first Google search. How long does take to get married after spouse dies. He searched that in April. I didn't get the exact wording on the second search, but it was something to the effect of what happens after death of spouse. April. So we learned about Loudoun County last week. He bought the knives in Loudoun County. And Mamta's phone last pinged in Loudoun County. They said on July 31st, her phone was not connected to the network, but then on August 1st, it pinged in Loudoun County near water. And during that time, Naresh's phone was turned off for 2 hours. He also provided receipts that he was at a cafe near the area that same day. All right, so that's all of like the basic, the new big information. There's a lot more detail that I'll go into. We're going to be doing an update episode of the podcast on that'll be released on Friday, that we will, go over both of the hearings, everything that we've learned, really get into it, and everything else that has popped up in the past couple weeks. So be sure to listen to that. The podcast is called And Then They Were Gone. It's on every podcast platform. It'll be released this coming up Friday. I'm going to continue to cover this anytime we learn anything new. Right now, his next hearing is scheduled for October 24th. That could be moved up. We'll keep you updated, so make sure you follow me, and that way you won't miss anything. I'm also putting everything in the playlist so you can catch up. I also just did a 90-minute live, and so I've been yapping for, a long time straight. I'll upload the full live to YouTube, and so if you missed it, you can check it all out there.
It's pretty good. That's really good key details. He's cooked, folks. He's cooked. They were communicating, these two. They were communicating all the way up to the 30th. And the prosecutor said both of them on their phones communicating. It's like husband and wife does, right? But then suddenly, boom, communication stops on the 30th. Now, that type of stuff would be circumstantial, but definitely used against this guy. Then, on his government contract computer, Secret Service, I think he worked in the White House, folks. Or some sort of, maybe worked at the Pentagon. I don't know. The realtor said he worked at the White House. He's making Google searches in April about what will happen after a wife dies. And how he can marry somebody else in that sense. It's kind of strange what he was asking. Seems like he was interested in another woman. He goes and buys knives at the Walmart on the 30th. 3 knives. 2 are not found at this time. He's at a cafe. Phone pings near a body of water. Goes back to Walmart on the 31st to get cleaning supplies. Oh, it's over for him. But she's still not found. She's still not found. But it just shows you how evil this case is. Of course, the lawyer's like, oh, no body. Can't be charged with concealment of a body if they don't have a body, Your Honor. The judge didn't buy that argument, so he's going to stay in prison. He thought he was smart, but all this technology, including that, what is it called, Blue Star, a.k.a. luminol, all that blood detected everything inside the home. It's a lot of evidence, folks. I feel like it's a lot of direct evidence, a lot of digital evidence, and a lot of circumstantial evidence centered around this case. They got a lot. They got a lot, all right. And I'd be honest, I'm starting to think, based off the details that I just heard, they never find her body. I think they could proceed with a murder case. It'd be good to get the body. Of course, that would be a rock side. You get the body, you find her. If the searchers find her, he's done. Like, he's done now, but he's done. He's like triple done. You get the body. Now, another activist, a group or a spokesperson for Mamta that seems like it's taken the forefront in this case. She also spoke out front of the courthouse today, and I want to share that with you all here too. She shared about what happened in the courtroom. Maybe she's an activist, or she seems like she's taking the forefront. Don't know her name offhand, but she spoke a little bit in a group of people outside the courthouse after he was in court today. Let's hear that take and see what the family and those individuals centered around the family and the community or friends have to say about this whole situation. Here we go.
Praying. Let me say the judge.
And it gets started. She talks a minute and it's quiet, and then she'll start.
Relief that Naresh Bhatt remains where he needs to be, which is in custody. So thank you to the Commonwealth. Thank you to the judge. We know this isn't based on our wishes. This is grounded in law, and we need to go on record and say that. There were a lot of things that came out in court today that we were not expecting. Mr. Bhatt's defense attorney went on the record calling this a, quote, media frenzy, making accusations that Chief Lugo was pressured into taking action, and really, I think, shamed the community for the hard work that has been happening. And you know what? We were vindicated. This is not a media frenzy. This was not based on pressure. This is based in case law and statutes. And again, Mr. Bhatt is where he needs to be. The judge went on the record saying that he did meet the two statutes. Hear this loud and clear. He is a danger to society. He is a flight risk, and he needs to stay locked up. We're certainly opening to take questions or share anything that we heard in the hearing today.
Holly, your reaction to what we've heard in court today about the Google searches?
Google searches.
What is your reaction to that?
One, thank you to the Secret Service. This was the first we heard that the Secret Service was a partner in this investigation. And I will say I was astonished. I think it goes to show perhaps premeditation. Again, we are not the judge or the jury, but it does sound like there's indication of premeditation. The Google searches made it clear that in April, Mr. Bhatt was looking to see how soon can I remarry after my spouse dies, and what does it mean when your wife dies or your spouse dies, something to those. And that was in April. Please know, we're standing here in August, so I think it does allude to premeditation.
Absolutely. Hard to hear her question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We were so nervous when he was showing all details of this is not right and so on. Absolutely. I was shaking like crazy. I turn around with all my friends, my community people here. We are standing beside each other and pulling our hand and praying. Let me make it clear, prayed. Because when defense was saying so many things, I was shaking. Let me make it clear. It was very painful to hear that.
Also, I mean, for the first time, we actually heard, what's been talked about a lot, but the actual domestic violence that was going on.
Yep, DV.
I think now that it's being as evidence, I know you guys have been hesitant because, you didn't want to talk beyond what you could, but now hearing that this is part now of the case that they're looking forward, I mean.
Again, this was read into the record, and I wrote it down. Mamta was a victim of domestic abuse. It is in the record. We've been trying to respect her privacy, and all of us have seen and heard and gotten texts of things that we did not want to share to respect her privacy. But you know what? It is in the record. She was abused. She was abused by Naresh. And we know that going forward, we aren't afraid to speak up and call him what he is. He's an abuser.
Holly, specifically February. I mean, this is a date that most people are telling me she was really struggling in February in these months, and everyone was reaching out, giving her resources. I mean, just talk about how difficult it was also being that person, her ally, her friend, and knowing, that, and then knowing what happened months later.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel this unintentional wave of kind of victim shaming and blaming, and I want us to not do that. Mamta was offered resources. She had a huge circle of support. Why she wasn't able to take action and leave, that's not for us to question. So I ask that as we go forward, we can say we surrounded her with love, but let's not try to victim shame and blame. But the truth is, yes, February was a critical time that she was reaching out for support, and for whatever reason, she didn't move forward with those actions.
And what's next identified and as you work to try and find some sense of closure, may feel
I mean, I think our first focus, and you can see there's a community standing here. We will be in court. We are Mamta's voice. We are going to look Naresh, whether it's in the back of the head or the front of the face. We are here for Mamta. But even more importantly is making sure that their daughter is cared for. We've all really shifted gears. We have a GoFundMe that you guys can find. As of this morning, we've collected over $200,000 to go to the baby. And that's really our goal. What we can do to honor Mamta is to make sure her daughter has the best future possible.
Have you gotten any updates on when her mom and her brother, when they're expected?
Yeah, I think we're not comfortable to go on the record with those details.
And at this time, we do want to have a justice for Mamta, and that's what we are focused on. And at this time, we do want to focus on justice for Mamta, and this is why our whole community is rallying for this. And we want her back. We want her home back. We want to find her. We want to bring her back, and that is our main focus as well in that area.
Yeah, and I think.
What does justice look like to you at this point?
Definitely have him pay for the price for what he has done. And that is very, very important. And I think Commonwealth are doing a wonderful job.
Yeah,
I think. And
we need him prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, it was referred to that we are putting pressure that, Chief Lugo feels like he needs to rush to press charges. That's not true. We want more charges levied based on concrete evidence, knowing that may take time. But we feel comfortable that the Commonwealth is going to escalate charges up to capital murder, and we want him prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But with that being said, we have to respect that this is not our case. This is held by the Commonwealth, and we're going to be here to support the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. Did at any moment the evidence that was presented by the public defender, did it sway you at all? The
Public defender evidence.
The car, why he was attempting to sell the house? Do you find any validity in hearing their side of what he said?
No, I think it made me angrier. I understand his defense attorney should be there fighting for him and not to diminish that at all. With that being said, I think he said some things that were categorically untrue and hurtful. He categorized the blood that was seen as the home as a nosebleed. It's not a nosebleed, right? The Commonwealth used Blue Star technology. They will bring that into court as evidence when the time is right. But to diminish what happened to Mamta and refer to it as a nosebleed is an insult, right? No one's going to get arrested because someone had a nosebleed. So we know there were volumes of blood. There were pooling of blood. There were things that we don't want to know about. But, I think a little shame should come to the defense for minimizing what the burden of evidence is.
One thing that mentioned is from the rocking
Nosebleed
chair
blood.
There was a clear indication of the body was dragged to the bathroom. That was clear. But what do you say about that? Because at Colorado there was an incident happened somewhere next to the wheelchair and was dragged to the bathroom probably.
Yeah, I think we have to rely and wait for the forensics to come out. Again, we're lay people in the community. It does appear that whatever happened in the master bedroom and then continued into the master bathroom. But again, it's the burden is on the Commonwealth to bring in that concrete evidence.
And I'm sure that
Any chances are you gonna find her body?
I hope so. And let me tell you, I'm tired of her being referred to as a body or a body part, as his defense counsel referred her to. She is a person. She is a loved one. We need to bring her back. To the best of our ability, we want every bit of her back for her family.
my name is Prava, last name is Duja. Absolutely, Prava, Prabhattarai is my middle name, and my last name is Deuja. Absolutely, I'm a community member, definitely. We're part of the family. We are the family here. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for giving me.
All right, so he messed with the wrong group of people. But there's a mountains of evidence. But as you heard, they tried to say, well, there was blood inside the house. The defense attorney saying, no body, and it was just a nosebleed. It's nothing of nothing. Nothing of nothing. Nah, it's something to something. He's charged with concealment of a body. He had faced accusations from friends that he abused his wife, and that when authorities searched his North Virginia home last week, they found crime scenes suggesting that she had been killed. He has court again in October 24th. That's the way I heard it. The 24th. So he's going to sit in jail. This is a defense attorney. We showed him. Some Shalev Ben-Avraham. Now, his defense right now is going to put up a defense by saying you don't have a body. Therefore, how can you be charged with murder? And he's not charged with murder. This is his defense attorney, who received an award, by the way. Trial Attorney of the Year in Prince William County. So his attorney might know his stuff. Public defender. Usually they got the main public defender for whatever county to represent, you know, the people that do the worst of the worst crimes. And that's what they're designed for. Muddy the waters. Now, I do want to share some information about the Mamta Facebook page. Because on the Facebook page, find Mamta Kafle Bhatt, the Facebook page. There's a new announcement saying that they're going to do some additional searches for her. Searches near the Walmart, where Mr. Bhatt, according to affidavit of probable cause, I haven't seen the affidavit, but they're saying, and this is her. I cannot believe that he would do this to his own wife, who was 9 years younger than him. They've had a child together, a 1-year-old. She was very liked on TikTok and Instagram. She made a lot of videos. It's just, it's sad. It's sad. I hope they do find her body. So then that's the nail in the coffin. But here on their Facebook page, they made an announcement. They said, our searches will no longer take place in Manassas. So they're not going to search in Manassas around that home, the Manassas Park home, Heather Court. We will be searching in Chantilly, Leesburg, and later on in Maryland, which is interesting. Why Maryland? Why are they going to search in Maryland? We will also host support group events with snacks and guided mediation to focus on our mental health. We owe it to ourselves to stay emotionally healthy. Longer version, trigger warning. It's really hard for me to write this, and I apologize for the graphic nature of this post. This weekend, our plans were completely changed by new evidence uncovered by the police. Based on their findings, we now know that finding Mamta alive is no longer an option. So they conceded that she's no longer alive. So the authorities say that she's presumed dead. The family here pretty much, or who represents the family, I don't know if families co-signs this, but it appears like they do. This is her group. This is Mamta's army here. They pretty much conceded the fact that, you know, she's not alive. They say it gets worse. It is likely that we will not find Mamta at all, nor will she be intact. They don't believe they'll find her, and they don't believe she'll be intact. You hear that, folks? I still want to look for her, and based on the evidence, we have been looking in all the wrong places. Our new plan is to search Loudoun County and the Chantilly area. I believe that someone, somewhere, must have seen something. I particularly want to speak to the construction workers that worked across from the Walmart, as they do often work in the middle of the night. And I suspect that Naresh committed crimes during the nighttime to avoid his neighbors taking notice. They probably weren't sure of what they saw, and showing them pictures of the car in his face could jog the right person's memory. The good, I know there isn't really a possibility of good in this situation. News is that Naresh was uncoordinated, lazy, and disabled. His plan was not well executed, and I highly doubt he is physically strong enough to carry someone through the woods, given that he could not even carry her down the stairs of his own home. Some people have suggested checking landfills. I saw that in the chat here. Check landfills. And I am able to coordinate that, but I am not able to attend them myself. I think finding her that way would be too much for me. We also want to check near the cafe he was seen at. or at the very least claimed he was disabled. I never saw him even limp, but I believe Mamta told me something happened to his leg or foot. It was a long time ago, and being disabled doesn't have anything to do with what I listed. My boyfriend is disabled, and he is a gem. For now, we will stick to flyers. I can give stacks to volunteers this week. For now, I will not be posting any event dates until I get an official okay from police that we are allowed to search. So, interesting. They don't believe she's alive, and then we know that, right? But where is she? How can we on this channel help in any way? What can we do? What do you suggest out there on where to find her? Now, I was looking on the map, and it looks like, folks, we'll go to this Walmart here, because it looks like on the 30th, he went to the Chantilly Walmart, really close to his house here. It's the Chantilly Walmart, and it's located right off of Highway 50 on the map. So he apparently bought, according to prosecutors, this Walmart on the 30th, he bought knives. Now, I put in Heather Court in Manassas Park, and this is what you get. So they lived here. The 30th, he buys knives. The 31st, they say that he went back to Walmart, but it's unclear. They just say a Walmart in Loudoun County. It's unclear if he went to this same Walmart to get the cleaning supplies after the crime was committed. But one thing I noticed, it's right outside Washington, D.C., and I believe he worked in Washington, D.C., possibly at the White House. If he didn't work at the White House, can someone share in the chat where he actually worked? Here, he travels 11 miles from his home, they live on Heather Court, to the Walmart on the 30th. Now, there's multiple other Walmarts. There's a list of Walmarts, actually. And all these Walmarts, and I'm just going to zoom out, because what you just heard from them, and remember, they live in Manassas Park, 11 miles from this Walmart. But there's others. And one thing they said that they're interested in doing is searching up here in Maryland. And also they named Leesburg. So I'm just wondering if after the fact he went up to this Walmart to buy the cleaning supplies in Loudoun County. All around Dulles Airport. Dulles Airport. Remember, prosecutors also said that he had bags packed and passports. I think he was ready to hitch a flight out of Dulles. I don't know where he would go. His lawyers try to claim that he's not a flight risk because he only has a U.S. passport. But I'm just wondering if somehow, after the crime was committed, I'm assuming that he put Mamta in that blue Tesla and had to take her or body parts from their Manassas Park home. Maybe he went up to Maryland. Maybe he went along the Potomac River. Maybe he went in Leesburg area. Water. Maybe he drove a little bit. Maybe he even tried to be slick and throw her over another state and then come back to Virginia. Kind of place her somewhere else. Now, prosecutors might be able to determine that based off his phones and the pings of his phone and everywhere his phone triangulated, pinged, geofencing, whatever. But the thing about it is, they're not telling anyone anything right now, and she hasn't been found. So I generally think authorities don't know. But it's a needle in a haystack. Particularly all that area. It's a lot of wooded area west of Washington. It's beautiful out there. It's actually beautiful out there. Where could she be? Where could she be? Oh, by the way, this is his attorney. Another photo of this guy. That's Mr. Naresh's attorney, by the way. They call him Ben-Avraham Shalev. That's his attorney. The more you know. So if you're at the courthouse or whatever like that, you're covering this case at future hearings, you see that guy walking in the courtroom, you know he's affiliated with Naresh. I don't understand why Naresh is playing these games and just not confessing, owning up to what he did, because he's causing a lot of heartache to all this family. The mother has to come over here, get the baby. He totally lied. To me, he's the worst of the worst of what he did. She's still not found. He played games. He acted like he was the victim of this whole situation. Does anyone out there in the chat feel like he didn't do this? Let me ask you. Does anyone feel like there's not enough? I mean, to me, the evidence is overwhelming. I think it's a slam dunk case without the body. I think it's a slam dunk case without the body. But you know what? I didn't even know that there was DV, domestic violence issues at that household. I should have done a public records request. That would have been able to determine at the time. You know, a journalist, usually what journalists do, when you come and you got subjects of matter of missing person cases, what journalists should do, and I do it sometimes I don't. And I have to improve on myself. But sometimes, like for instance, if this happened, and as soon as we got wind of it, and we reported this before anybody, really, I should have took their address, and did immediately a public records request and say, I want to know every single police contact calls and incidents that happened at blah, 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 Heather Court from 2020 to present day. And, you know, we would have been able to have a picture if there has been things going on in that household, prior police going there, zooming there on incident calls. Because a lot of times in these type of cases, there is. But we only find out after the fact. So I regret that I didn't do that. I'll be better. But she's still missing. He's in jail. He's not getting out. Let's help find her. Or if anyone knows anything about the Tesla, seeing him making unusual purchases on any store, anywhere in that area, Loudoun County, anywhere in that area, Manassas Park, Western Virginia, Maryland, D.C., if you've seen this guy, I would say from the 30th through the 2nd, acting strange, unusual at landfills, dumpsters, parks, rivers, streams, ponds, lakes, bodies of water. You've seen him zooming around his car, tucked in these little rural roads, dirt roads, backyard roads. Report it to law enforcement immediately, because that key information could help find Mamta. It could piece together and try to understand his paper trail or his actual trail. But that's all that's really on this case. I will keep you guys informed. I'll keep you of what people are saying. I'll let you know eventually if the mom comes and gets the child. But I think they're trying to keep private about that. That's the way I took it based off that press conference. Like, they don't really want to talk about her family and the handling of the situation and stuff. And I can respect that. She's a victim. Family's not even from the country. They got to fly into another country to handle this matter. I cannot believe someone would have to go through that. Scary, scary, scary times. And he played everybody. He thought he played everybody. Thought he had everyone fooled. Well, now he's about to face justice. And we'll see what happens with this case. If anything else happens, like as far as like any type of filings, court records, or affidavits or whatever like that, we'll share on this channel. We'll keep you up to speed. Anything like breaking significantly, you will hear it here on JLR Investigates. So hit that sub button. Bing! Thank you for watching this particular segment. We are praying for the friends, family, and everyone affiliated with Mamta, and we hope they get justice. We hope she gets found, and just hoping for the best. Thanks for watching. JLR Investigates. We cover true crime 24/7, 365. You have a good night. We'll talk soon. Everyone be safe. Have a good day. JLR Investigates.